Hi all, I welcome you to the Building Culture podcast where I invite incredibly smart people who build things. Whether they be engineers, entrepreneurs, programmers, hobbyists, or researchers, it does not matter. As long as you're someone who's passionate about building things, I'll find you and podcast you. Hi, all. I want to take a brief moment to thank you all personally for supporting this podcast on YouTube and on all major podcast platforms, including Google Podcasts and Spotify. The podcast mainly features interesting people in robotics, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. If you believe that the information that I'm providing might be of benefit to you or to someone you know, it would be really great if you could hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon so that you can get notified on time whenever the next part is out. It would literally take you a second or two to subscribe to the podcast, but it would really mean a lot to me because I can grow the podcast to a level where I can reach more people, invite ever more interesting guests, and have a more meaningful impact. So let's begin now. Okay, Vamsi, so in the beginning of the talk, you also mentioned that you decided that you want to go into research specifically and in robotics.
Yeah,
In your bachelor's, when you were doing your bachelor's in mechatronics engineering, right?
yeah.
So how do you get this sense of clarity so detailed at an early age?
It was not so detailed clarity, but yeah, of course, I was in kind of confused state where I want to go, in which industry. Of course, I have decided to take up mechatronics in bachelor's, though it was hard, though it was a new course during my period of time, and even though it was introduced as the first, we were the first batch of the course. But after after doing some projects, competitions, and I found that this is what something I would want to do, like something like automation, factory automation, or industry automation, or maybe robotics. So of course it was mobile robotics, but once I was introduced to industrial robotics at FANUC, and I was really fascinated about developing robots. And my sense of clarity that I would want to move to research was confirmed when I entered into an industry.
Okay, so after working at FANUC, you realized.
So I realized, like, I as I was working as an application engineer, then I thought that I want to do something more, something beyond that. Of course, I have this thought that I would want to go in research while I was in bachelor's, but it was not so clear for me. But
was it specific that you want to do your research, or was it like, okay, I will see if I go to industry?
Yeah, it was like more or less like I had so much of interest towards research, but once I entered into industry, my interests were bolstered based upon my experiences at FANUC, and I thought that I would want to contribute in development of systems, co-development of systems, because I found it more interesting. So that's how I got a clarity, like I would want to go research, I would want to do masters after my experiences, industry experience. Yeah.
Okay, but you worked at FANUC also for 3.5 years, so
Yeah.
you learned a lot there as well.
Yes, of
right?
course.
So why did you decide after 3.5 years that it's time to go into research? Because after working in an industry, what other people do is they can either continue to work on that, or they can choose to move to a different company, because you had experience at FANUC, so you could move to a different company and use your experiences there as well. So why did you choose to do your masters after that?
After, as I said, like after 3.5 years, like then I felt like I want to go into development, code development. So then I thought that what could be the different ways if I want to upgrade myself into code development.
Okay.
So what I found was masters would be a best choice to switch from post development activities or from application engineer to code development engineer. It's nothing wrong, like being an application engineer also I have faced a lot of challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
They're more or less, you can't say like R&D engineers are more or applications are less, like
Yeah,
but
they are
my
two
interest,
separate profiles, right?
So my interest were inclined towards research or towards co-development of the systems. So then I thought like what could be the different ways and all. Then I thought that masters would be the best choice.
Masters would be the best choice.
Though I was having this plan previously, before entering into my job, as soon as my bachelor's, as I have got job and I continued. But after, why, as you asked, why only after 3.5 years? Why only after 4 years?
Yeah.
So it's because my inclination towards code development increased. Then I thought masters would be the best choice to switch my profile.
So you wanted to upgrade your skills because
Yeah.
at FANUC you realized that okay, I can also work in core development because you were involved in development as well, some aspects of it,
Post
development, and then you were dealing with customers as well.
Yeah.
So you could see both the directions,
Yeah.
and you said I could go more into this
Yes,
particular
exactly.
direction, and for that you needed more skills.
Yeah.
So you wanted to upgrade yourself to
Yeah.
that level. That's
So,
why you chose to do your masters.
In my view, masters would be one of the best possibility to upgrade yourself. So I applied here, and fortunately I got an admit.
Okay, Vamsi, so you're very clear that you are interested in research in robotics, and you have taken the right steps so far towards this direction.
Yeah.
So what are your future plans towards your career in robotics?
Yes, as I said, the coming future is more or less like intuitive robotics as well as human robot collaboration. So I would want to contribute in those areas of robotics where the intuitive programming, which is also I'm working on my master thesis, like learning by demonstration, programming by demonstration, or maybe human robot collaborations, because industry have observed huge profits and productivity with human robot collaborations, and which is actually industries are moving from conventional robotics in industries to new standards, like with the help of cobots, which is a short form for collaborative robots. So yeah, I would want to actively participate or actively involve in to contribute in those areas of robots which involves multiple aspects like machine learning, control engineering. Personally, I'm more into machine learning and control perspective of robots than mechanical design of robots. So I would want to contribute in those particular areas of robotic systems in near future. Yeah.
Okay, so you're very specific that you want to go into this particular area, you know, which would be a small part of robotics, right?
Yeah. So,
and also, do you have like specific applications, industries in mind that you would want to stick to, or are you open to to all the possibilities?
I'm totally open to all the possibilities. Given a chance, I'm very much interested in different kinds of applications, because as per my experiences, like not much, but whatever I have, little experience, and whatever I observe very little in industry, that there is a huge scope for robots in multiple areas. So I guess it wouldn't be a good choice to limit yourself in particular area of robotics or particular application area,
particular industry
or particular industry applications, because robots are everywhere now, like food industry, space exploration, or not logistics, material handling,
exactly,
like everywhere. So but if more or less I'm interested in like intuitive robotics or like maybe human robot collaborations is where I'm very much interested in.
Okay, so regardless of what the application is, whether it is kitchen robots or collab robots in industries, as long as it is this particular topic or around it, you would be interested in.
I'm interested. I'm very much interested in.
Also, do you plan to explore other areas in robotics, for example, mobile robots, in the future, or do you want to stick to this particular thing and go deeper as you can?
Honestly, I don't have such specifications now. For now, as I said, my interests are in these areas, but I don't have any such limitations, like I don't want to go into mobile robots, or I don't want to go into other logistic robots. I don't have any such specifications or any limitations, but given a chance, if I have an opportunity, I would definitely would love to explore such areas.
So yeah, as you get more and more experience, you get more
wider
understanding and clarity
yeah.
of
Yeah.
things. But right now you are specific that you want to go in this field, and that is because you did your thesis and similar projects before.
Yeah.
So that's why you have this understanding. Also with robotics, a lot of people who are not involved in this particular field have this belief that robots will replace their jobs. So what is your view on this thing?
I'm not expert to say regarding this view, but my view, it's now time for robots to work and time for humans to think. In my view, I guess it's time for robots to work on mundane tasks, and let's humans think something more productive. Let's humans involve in other things,
more creative
things, or more progressive things for maybe humanity, or maybe for further survivals.
Okay.
But so why human consciousness or why human brains needs to be wasted for mundane tasks or repeated tasks? So let's robots work on that. So I don't think so that it's a negative thing or it's a bad thing that robots are taking away the jobs of humans.
Okay, so but for a lot of industrial workers who earn their bread and butter by doing in the work at industries that they might not really enjoy and which you might say is not human, but for them, if they lose their job to a robotic arm, then they lose their source of income. What would you say in this case, is the impact of robotics good or bad?
In my view, as I already said, I'm not expert, but in my view, this change is not sudden. The robots are not replacing humans at once, and this is a progressive change, and it takes generations to completely replace robots. So in the progressive change, as humans are adapting to new changes, this won't be a very huge issue that robots are replacing humans in all aspects, in all places. For me, it's a good thing that if robots are replacing humans, if you see the word robot means slave. So I can say why humans need to be wasted their time, why humans needs to waste their time or their energies or their consciousness in doing mundane tasks. So instead, if robots were involved there and which are not conscious beings, but we being a sentient being, so we can work on our progressiveness. This particular change is not going to happen in one night, or it's not going to happen suddenly. This is a progressive change that robots will replace humans, and I see a positive side of this because it's time for robots to work and humans to think creatively, or humans to invest on some other things for progression of humanity or in other tasks.
I think that makes sense that if a human being is being replaced by a robot, then he would have to force himself to probably gain new skills where his creativity and his human side would come out. So I agree with this particular notion, and it can be beneficial, but probably in the long term. In the short term, it would be very disadvantageous.
As you said, it is not like that things are replacing in a night or very suddenly, because it's a progressive change. So that wouldn't be a big problem, is what I feel.
In the long term, it would be, as you mentioned, in a philosophical way, progressing humanity. So a few days back, we were also discussing about the movie Social Dilemma, which you recommended me actually. And it talks about the dangers of AI and how it is manipulating us and other addictive side effects that these social media platforms have.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence has a crucial role in shaping the platforms because it gives them so much data, and that data allows them to
Yeah.
manipulate us using these algorithms. What is your take on the social dilemma?
Like when we start giving control to AI to control our lives, and we are allowing AI to manipulate our views, our opinions, then of course I feel like there are many negative effects, obviously, because uh, in a way AI, super dependency on AI, allowing or making humans to not to live in a moment, firstly. And second thing is, because of this over dependency, we are losing a lot of skills. Like now, for example, we are not having geographical sense because of GPS.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And for example, we are not having too much intuition. Day by day, humans are becoming super dependent on AI for decision making. And so after some point of time, maybe there is a possibility that AI will decide everything for us instead of we taking decisions about ourselves. Like, for example, now you are driving a car and we are taking an assistance from the AI, that AI will decide for us to slow down or to go left, or in a way it's very positive that or you can say like it's suggesting us, or it is assisting us whether to slow down or not, because we are tired or not. In a way, of course it gives us a
very positive and
help for us. But if it goes extreme, like we ourselves lose decision capability, whether if we are stressed, we have to go in a normal way. For example, if a person who is super dependent on AI, and for example he is driving some latest model cars which is inbuilt with AI models and all, which is having a driver pattern assistance, so AI model,
or even driverless cars in the future.
Yeah, maybe. But for example, let us consider only this way, like driving assistance models sitting in the cars, which model your driving patterns, and it analyze your driving patterns, comparing with existing data models. It is giving a decision for you whether you should slow down or not.
But in a way, that's a good
decision.
It's a good
decision,
right?
But imagine if the particular person is now taken out of that car and given a normal conventional car. He can't take his own decisions, which means he's lacking his own decision skills, whether he can able to slow down or not, whether he can able to drive this car at particular space or not, which means it is reducing the decision capability for humans. So I would say it's good that AI is helping us, assisting us in things which we are not capable of, but having a super dependency on AI tools makes us less capable in coming generations, is what I feel.
Yeah, for driving assistance systems, maybe if we take it to a bit extreme, and for example, if there's a screen that is displaying you and telling you to go left, or press the brake pedal, then you probably intuitively do not take the decision of when you should be pressing brake or accelerating, and then it would be asking you to do it. Or maybe if it is a fully autonomous system, then you don't even need to drive a car. But I think it is for this case, I think it is beneficial, right? If
it is fully autonomous, it's beneficial, of course. But what I mean to say, it's one of the example that if we are going completely dependent on AI, in future we are lacking our own skills as a human beings, which we were persisting. Enormous skills may go down because AI is now being replaced, or AI is now given authority for us to
make decisions on our behalf.
So that's what I wouldn't feel like it's good in a good way.
In a way, it's like calculators. Before we had calculators, one would do all the complex calculations using pen and paper or mentally, and then if you're doing these things mentally, then you are mentally stronger even, and then we lose this ability. And like with maps also, you
Yeah.
mentioned that we lose our own sense of direction slowly but steadily. And
But one thing here is like calculators are good for me. Why? Because there is a difference between a computer tool or technology tool and technology like AI, which takes decision or conscious thoughts on behalf of us.
okay,
Calculators, we are using calculators
it's still
to
a
solve
dumb
some
tool.
problem. It's still a dumb tool. Or calculators are like a tool for us. But these AIs are not tool. The main difference is when we want it, then only we will use calculators. Right?
Exactly.
For calculation purpose.
Mhm.
Because if at all you are not good at calculations, or if at all you are doing something bigger problems to solve, so for smaller things, why would you worry about calculations? So why do you want to waste your time for calculations?
Exactly.
So calculators would help you to as a tool.
Because
But
you use it.
I use it on my with my consciousness. But for
Mhm.
example, why AI tools are different from calculators? Because, for example, if a calculator is fitted with some AI models,
Mhm.
and if it tells you like no, you should not use integration, you should have used differentiation, then it will be a problem for you, even though if it is correct.
Because you don't think yourself.
I'm not thinking myself what I have to use. In calculator, you are thinking yourself what to use, and you are using them. Yeah, if you are becoming super dependent on AI, maybe there is a chance that you will lose this sense of decision making. That particular skill would go down.
Yeah, I think there are two parts of this, right? So one thing is reducing your own intuitive ability to make decisions on your own.
Yeah,
For example, for calculators or for maps, right?
yeah,
But in this direction, it can be helpful as
Yeah.
well.
yeah,
And then there is the other direction where AI makes full decisions for yourself. And I think the worst example would be social media,
yeah.
where it doesn't make decisions for you, but it makes it forces you to make a decision that's in its favor.
Yeah, maybe by using these AI tools, people might, or there is a possibility that you will get manipulated.
But how does this manipulation work?
As explained earlier in many TEDx talks or many talk shows, this manipulation is not based upon something forced manipulation. Like this manipulation happens based upon your thought process itself. For example,
Okay.
once you start watching one video, similar videos will be fed to you.
Recommended
System. So with that, after some part of time, even though you are not agreeing with the first video, but after 10 videos you will become a fan, or you will agree to that particular concept.
View, which is different for you in the beginning. But when lots of similar videos get shown to you, then after 10 times watching similar videos, you also start thinking like that.
only.
And you don't know about that.
You don't know about that. But in a way, AI is forcing you to take decision to go on which view. For example, you are skeptical about some particular conspiracy theories. You don't know whether you want to consider in this way or this way, in either sides. Then, for example, if you have watched one, but you are just curious about conspiracy theory, but you are not having any view.
Okay.
But for example, if you have watched one video with respect to one view,
one particular
view, AI will start recommending you the same particular thing. So after some part of time, you stop thinking in a rational way, because you are biased by force from AI. So that's how.
So it shapes your mindset. It makes you think these things in a very subtle way.
So you're biased by force from an inanimate being, or from a non-conscious being. So in my view, AI should be used as a tool, but AI we should not become super dependent on AI.
Okay.
When we want it, then only AI should come and help.
But how do we prevent that?
maybe some laws. But yeah, of course, ethical
Laws in what sense?
ethical AI is one a
Mhm.
big branch. Is now being popular in multiple countries, many countries, especially Europe and Americas are trying hard to work on this ethical AI, because and people have recognized problems of AI now. So there is a necessity and there is a need for further progression of humans for an ethical AI.
Mhm.
It's like more or less like ethical hacking. So,
Okay.
so I feel, I guess because of this progression, and we are not completely super dependent on AI,
Mhm.
so we are still in a stage that we take decisions for ourselves. So that's how
Okay.
maybe in future ethical AI laws would come up, and those laws will be imposed on companies who are developing AIs and all. So if you see like AI is not taking control on its own.
Mhm.
So we are the one who develop the algorithms. We are the one who is letting AI to. We are the one who is letting AI to take decisions on our own, on behalf of us.
The ones who are in this field.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe for example, of course, the people who are developing these algorithms or tools were thinking in a way to make more business, to have more engagement from the customers, or
Mhm.
to, for example, it's pretty simple that if you were given a task, or where you will have an assistant,
Mhm.
you will definitely go with that instead of like you are given a task without an assistant. So
Okay.
here AI is acting as a virtual assistant in many places. Need not to be a single assistant. For example, you will have a personal assistant in car based upon your driving patterns. You will have a personal assistant in phones, virtual assistants like Siri or Google Assistant. So because it's making your life easier, you
Mhm.
tend to use it.
So, but what's the disadvantage of using a virtual assistant?
That's what I mean is, because it is making your life easier, you tend to use it.
Mhm.
If at all this usage is limited to use it as a tool, it is completely fine.
Yeah.
But if at all you are becoming super dependent on it,
Hmm.
maybe in some generations you are not foreseeing the downsides of this particular super dependency,
Mhm.
will make you less thinking, or will make you lethargic in taking decisions.
What would be an extreme example of when we are like dependent on AI on everything, even for fitness, we have fitness bands recording it and guiding our schedules, and for all other aspects. What is the worst example? Like, what is the worst thing that you can imagine would happen?
What I could imagine is something like, today I enjoy eating food,
Okay.
and I enjoy cooking food, eating food of my own taste. What I would say in future generations, for example, if it goes too extreme, yeah, I will suggest what protein intake I should take, what ingredients I should take, and of course it helps for progression. But it is taking decision on behalf of me which food I should eat. If it goes extreme, after some point of time, if we don't stop it right now,
Mhm.
because day by day, AI will come into each and every sector, each and every part of our lives, because even, for example, you are very busy with some work, and you don't want to take decision what I have to eat.
Yeah, and for me, I would prefer
Yeah.
to have this decision taken by an AI,
Yeah.
for example.
So,
But I mean, what to eat, probably that is arguable.
for now, you consider today busy personal life.
Hmm.
He's very much worried about what work I have to do, how I should get into the work, than thinking about what I should eat. Like, whatever is there, let me eat, is what a average busy person is thinking. But in future, what worst I could see is like, you are not taking a decision on behalf of that as well. There may be consequences if you don't
But
stop.
it's that if you allow AI to take that decision on you, maybe there's this super smart fitness band
Yeah.
or an app, and you delete that app, you throw away that gadget, right?
It's not so easy if you are becoming super dependent on AI.
Okay, because I mean,
That's what.
your argument is that we lose our own decision making
Decision
ability. Maybe you are dependent on a one particular app. For example, like for each one of us, it's really difficult to live without our
Phones, yeah.
without social networking sites or even Google Maps, for example. So this is the major concern according to you, that we lose our decision making ability, right?
Yeah.
And other thing that you mentioned is related to artificial intelligence, and how it being so smart, it actually also takes so much of our data, and that could also go into the direction of data privacy as well. So you talked about ethical AI, right?
Ethical
So
AI,
what are the things in which we should consider ethical AI, for example? In what regards? For example, one data privacy would be one thing.
In my view, there are multiple views from experts. Though I'm not expert, I feel like ethical AIs should be rules which should be framed such that the total humanity, if not an individual, the total humanity should not completely dependent or super dependable on AI.
Mm-hmm.
So you should not go completely depend on AIs in any aspect. So should allow humans to think, should allow humans to take decisions more.
Okay.
Then if that is the case, in future people might become more lazy, people might become more lethargic.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if AI and robots are going to rule, and for example they can do anything what you think, what I can do, like I will simply sit in home and
Exactly. So if the robots, I think, going back to the previous thing that we were talking about, if robots start to replace creative jobs as well, maybe there comes a point where nobody needs to work to earn a living, and there is a concept called universal basic income. If that thing is implemented and nobody needs to work, I mean, robotics can take creative jobs as well, right? We see algorithms making creative arts, although this is just the beginning probably. But if robots take all the jobs, then what do you do if you don't have to work to earn a living?
There is a concept called no work class.
No work class. What's that?
No working class or something like that. In future, this is going to be a big problem as well. Like there will be some group of people who don't work or who don't think anything. They just want to live their lives. So because of technology, and robots. As I said, in industry level, there is definitely a necessity for robots. You can't argue, or I would say it's better not to argue that better robots not to come because it is taking jobs at industry level. But
for the immediate future, maybe 10-20 years, it would probably be beneficial because you upgrade your skills and get higher level jobs.
So as I said, in my view, if you consider robots or AI only as a tool for progression of your own individual or progression of humanity or something, it would be completely fine. But if you are becoming super dependent on them, for example, it's completely okay if robots are doing mundane tasks in industries because to avoid accidents. And if a human just to pick and place the objects, he is not progressing.
Exactly, that's true.
So
that's true. I agree for the mundane tasks.
So robots or AI should be used in such places where to replace human, where human is not progressing.
Okay, so
but it should not be replaced in a places where human is progressing or human is involved actively for progression.
So you are against. So this is part of your idea of ethical AI as well, right? That robotics and AI should not be implemented in every every different type, all types of work basically. What if there are robots who are doing everything and you don't need to work for earning?
Then obviously the answer is like Hollywood movies, like Matrix.
Which Hollywood movie?
Matrix or iRobot. All these Hollywood movies are obviously warning us like what robots or AI is going to do. So as I said, wherever there is a scope for human to progress, no need of using AI robots. But it's obvious, and it's obviously it is needed for robots to take charge of mundane tasks. Obviously, robots needs to take charge of taking hazardous tasks where there is a threat for human individual, or where there is a threat for human not thinking tasks especially.
Okay.
So, but of course, robots are not as intelligent as humans. Even if human is not thinking, but he is having an intelligence. So currently robots are not doing each and every task that humans are doing. So for now, for some decades, it's not that robots will completely replace humans in industry sector, I think, at least. But wherever it is replacing, it's for good only, for good cause.
For at least the coming few years.
For coming few years, and even if it is replacing, as I said, it is for a good cause, like replace for mundane tasks or replace hazardous tasks where there is no scope for human to think and progress. But if you allow robots and AI to think on behalf of us, and if we become super dependent on them, then obviously that is not the place where they should take charge. That is not the place where we should give them charge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Vamsi, what is your suggestion for someone who is thinking of going into robotics?
Me being in robotics field, definitely I will suggest people to consider robotics.
Okay.
And of course, it is a multidisciplinary branch, and there is a good near future for robotics, and industries are looking forward for automation, and robotization is a new word for robot automation, which is pretty much significant in coming near future. So yeah, I would suggest definitely, if at all, if anybody were thinking if I can go for robotics or not, then I will suggest. Yeah. So
okay. Considering the level of clarity that you have in robotics and the kind of experiences that you have had, what are your suggestions to someone who is starting in robotics, or someone who is generally interested in robotics?
Yeah, so one good suggestion based upon my experience is you should be very open. For a robotics engineer, he or she should be having an open-mindedness. Like, for example, better you not confined with respect to your bachelor degree. I have observed some of colleagues my bachelor degree is mechanical, so I wouldn't be good at programming.
Yeah.
Or my bachelor's is computer science, I wouldn't be good at mechanical. So nevertheless, regardless of your bachelor degree, regardless of your personal interest towards any particular subject, whether mechanical, electrical, or computer science, a robotics engineer should have a more or less knowledge on all the three branches: mechanical, electrical, and computer science. So it's better to have an open-mindedness for to learn any kind
interdisciplinary
fields, any kind of engineering disciplines. So that's one thing I would say.
Okay, Vamsi, with this, I would like to thank you for taking out your precious time to have this conversation with me and wearing this special RWTH t-shirt and bringing this special RWTH mug, and also seriously for explaining all the different subjects that we study, sharing your experiences, how to apply for student jobs, how to get an internship, giving an overview of the curriculum and a variety of different interesting things about your views on AI, the dangers of AI, the benefits of AI, robotics, and the kind of future that you can expect, and how you can plan your career as well in general. So I think this was really enjoyable for me, and I think it would be really insightful for a lot of people as well. I hope so.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Hope you guys enjoyed our fun talk. It's more or less like a good conversation with Chandandeep, and I would like to thank Chandandeep for inviting me for this particular fun talk.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
you
was
should con-
really fun.
Yes, you should consider this as a fun talk. Maybe, yeah, there are many subjects in between and many lot of curriculum, of course. But I find it fun, and I hope you also enjoy this. Thank you,
Yeah,
Chandra. Thanks for
and
coming.
thank you very much. So Vamsi is in a good form explaining the subjects really well. He's wearing the RWTH Aachen University shirt. His mug says RWTH Aachen. So he's the RWTH man today.
Everybody is RWTH person. Everybody is RWTH person. Everybody is RWTH person.
Honest RWTH Aachen study experience.
So what are your experiences?
Honest करके थोड़ा clickbait ही हो जाएगा. Honest रहेंगे, ठीक है. तो anyway, you have other YouTubers talking about that. Yeah. That's how you know so many languages.
Not many.
Say robotic systems in different languages.
I don't
I
know
mean,
much.
just we'll cut. Offense कैसे हो गया? Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this particular conversation and it helped you in some way, shape or form. If it did, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification icon or the bell icon so that you can get notified on time whenever the next part is out. Also, it would be really great if you could give me your feedback in the comments below. That would really help me improve. I'm uploading small clips of the long podcasts on a regular basis on platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram, so make sure to follow me on these platforms if you're someone who cannot take out time for the long episodes. The podcasts are also available on all major podcast platforms including Spotify and Google Podcasts. So if you're someone who prefers to listen to podcasts rather than watching full-length videos, make sure to follow on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you very much and see you next time.